How's everyone doing?
Doing great, Coach. And as always, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. Coach Sanders, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Mississippi Valley State.
Oh, first of all, Coach Dance is doing a phenomenal job. They're a friend of mine, what he's doing with that program. I know the record does not indicate it, but let me tell you something, man. That man is coaching his butt off, and they had us on the ropes in the first half, and they played really well. I'm happy. I'm pleased with the coaching staff, with the team in all facets, offense, defense, as well as special teams. And even the outpouring of love we're receiving from the fans and the attendance as well. We started off a little slow, but went in the locker room and somehow got it right and came back to play the type of ball that we're capable of playing. Defensively, I think we're ranked number 1, second in passing, 8th in rushing defense, tied for first in TDs, and 7th in takeaways. Offensively, we're second in completion percentage. I don't know how we're second. 4th in first downs gained, 3rd in passing offense, 2nd in scoring offense, and quarterback should be mentioned upon the Heisman race. That's up for you guys, and I want you guys to push those pens, push those computers, and do what you can, because you put his numbers up next to the guys in Power 5s, he's doing as much or more than they're doing right now. So when they start talking about Heisman's, which I saw before the previous game, I got a little upset that they didn't mention us, period. And then they mentioned what Shador is doing. Forget that he's my son and his last name is Sanders. Any other man doing what he's doing and accomplishing what he's accomplishing this far, this early on, deserves the recognition. That's all. Thank you for allowing me to have a dad moment. Now let's get to business.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach Sanders. First question goes to Charles Bishop.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
How you doing?
Coach, I wanted to ask a little bit about some of the pieces that we have not seen, especially going into.
I don't know what I did. Go ahead, Charles. I can hear you.
Yeah, going into the bye week, and you alluded to it in the post-game press conference, but talk about how excited you are about some of the pieces that we have not seen on this team. You mentioned all the accolades, but it's still some injuries here in the first part of the season where we haven't seen a few players.
We have a couple defensive linemen that you're most definitely going to see back. One was injured. True was injured in the spring. You're going to see him. He came over from Florida State. You may see Shiloh when we get back against Alabama State as well. And I think Travis may be a week behind that because we just want to hold him to make sure he's the Travis that you saw in the spring game. So our defense has accomplished some phenomenal things with 3 of his starters out. So we can't wait to get them back. And offensively, we need this for guys to heal up a little bit, especially the line. But shoot, we have a rotation of 7 players playing on the line, rotating in and out, doing a phenomenal job. 3 of our backs, we have a 3-headed monster, and the receiving core could go toe-to-toe with any Power 5 in the country.
Hey, Coach, follow-up question. You mentioned all the accolades, but what is the theme going into this open week in terms of this team not resting on their laurels?
We got to finish what we started. And I mean that in just as it's stated, we got to finish what we started and a continuation of to dominate. I love that a team could score 49 points and they're not satisfied. I love it that they're angry, that they're coming to me on the sideline saying, Coach, our bad, we got this. You know, I hate that dude named my bad. I hate that dude. It's in my bad. I can't stand my bad. But they understand that. But they understand what the commitment to excellence is, and we have not arrived at that point yet, and we're still searching it. We're still chasing it, and I love it 100%. You wouldn't believe the number of players come to me throughout the game or after the game saying, Coach, we're going to clean that up. We're going to clean that up. Like, we just won. We just scored 49 points. No, Coach, we were garbage in the first half. We're going to get that right. That's the attitude they have, and I love it.
Sure thing. Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you, my man.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. How's it going, Coach Brown?
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Wanted to ask you about the bye week or break that you have for your team. I know some programs do a 3-4 game analysis. Do you do that, or do you do something different?
What do you mean by that? Tell me what. I don't understand.
Like I've had some coaches talk about they take the extra week to go back and look at their team in terms of things that they want to see to get done, things that may be doing well and things of that nature. Do you do that?
We do that on Sundays.
Okay.
We may be the only team, maybe not, in college football. We usually work on Sundays. Right after we go kick some butt, we're out there on the practice field working. Now, the kids that played over 60%, they stretch and they come out and they sit out. But that's how we develop the younger players. That's how we develop the other players. They must compete on that Sunday and go at it. Now, we're not padded up and we're not hidden, but we have helmets on and we going at it. And it's a full speed. It's not a walk through or talk through, because we want to develop those players. Rarely do you go through a game and not see any injuries or any nicks or whatever. So some of those guys that are nicked up, now we got to get that guy ready for the next week, because this guy is clearly nicked up and he may not play. So that's the way we develop some of the younger players on Sundays. But we don't break it down to every 4 games, and no, we're trying to dominate every game, every practice.
Makes sense.
Yes, sir.
In terms of recruiting, one thing you talked about earlier, that you're always recruiting. It's always on within the parameters, obviously, at NCAA. With the open week, is there any more level to that, or is that just part of what your program is doing, always being on in terms of?
We don't turn off. Our social media don't turn off. My social don't turn off. All that's forms of recruiting. Right, me talking to you all right now. Every week we do this. One of my sound bites go not viral, but it go everywhere we need it to go. So that's a form of recruiting, and we appreciate that from you all. So I think we had a few big time recruits in this past weekend. I know I shook a plethora of young men's hands, and there's some big boys look like they could really help the program. So we're always recruiting. It does not stop.
Point well taken. Thank you, Coach Brown.
Thank you, sir.
Next question goes to Kendrick Marshall.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned at the top that you think Shedeur should be considered for the Heisman. Steve McNair was the last SWAC quarterback to even make the ceremony. That was like 30 years ago. And the argument is going to be the competition that he plays against in terms of like him being considered. So how would you combat an argument like that if someone was like, well, Shedeur can't be the Heisman Trophy winner because he plays in the FCS?
That's not true. You got to understand, when you look at a player and you look at his skill set, it don't take you long to understand this kid could play at any level. It does not take you long to identify Travis Hunter could play anywhere he wanted to play. Shedeur could have went anywhere he wanted to go, and assess it by that nature. We got to stop that foolishness and start really giving players what they're due. I'm likening it to a kid that we go and see that he's a phenomenal street ball player and he can flat out ball, and you telling me he can't hoop with the best at Rutgers Park. Okay, he can. I think we know he can. I think some of those individuals that would have gotten an opportunity for that next level that have come out of Rutgers Park could have been in the NBA. It's not a fact that he can't play in the NFL. See, that's where it gets tricky. So you can't tell me he can play in the NFL, but he's not good enough to be in the Heisman running. That's a lie. That's a lie. So that's where I got you. So if he's good enough to play in the NFL, he's good enough to be in the Heisman ballot. The Heisman is based straight off production. And we're playing against a level, they're playing against a level, shoot, we just happen to be dominant. You can't say the level is less. We're just dominant right now.
And a quick follow-up to that, how much does it help that your program and himself get so much exposure to maybe combat some of those stereotypes of, well, he can't be the Heisman Trophy winner?
Well, that's what we're trying to, that was the plan day one, to give our kids, not just our kids at Jackson State, but all HBCU exposure. And that's what we're doing. You all have more exposure than you had. I think you guys are garnishing more clicks than you had normally. BP, before Prime. So that was good. God, that was good. And I love it. But the exposure is what we all need to get to the next level. If we don't have exposure, none of us are going to make it to the next level.
All right, thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
We'll try to get 2 more questions in quickly. First one goes to James Hill.